to Just Ask Mrs. Hurlbut. This is, I believe, episode 20, if you can believe it. And once again, I'm not in my comfy chair at home. I'm actually in a very comfy home. That is my parents' home. And my very special guests are my mom and dad, Barbara and Gerry. Yay, round of applause, mom and dad are here, woo-hoo. So this is an extra special episode for me because I get to do with my parents what I challenge my students to do with their loved ones. So this episode is called, I just coined it like 5 minutes ago, Words from the Wise, something like that, Words from the Wise. And this is essentially the happiness interview. I always tell my students it's such a pleasure to, when you have role models in your life that can really show you the secrets to success and happiness. And I have been extremely blessed to have parents who raised me well and who love each other very much. I'll give you a quick summary and then I'm gonna turn it over to you guys, okay? So Barbara and Gerry met in college, fell in love long distance, relocated, got married, had 6 kids in 9 years, and now here we sit 65 years later. They have 6 kids, 22 grandkids, and help me out with the great grandkids.
17 on the way in March.
Number 17 is on the way, so lots of family. So I'm going to direct this to either of you, and either of you can answer. What would you say was a moment in your life when you realized, wow, I did it. I found my way. I'm doing what I want to be doing. I'm with who I want to be with, and I'm happy. Was there ever a moment where you're like, I made it, I'm here? Either of you?
I'm afraid it was gradual. I didn't look to be any certain place except where I was needed. I think you summarize something like that when you've had a big event in your life, good or bad, that you say, well, you know, this is where I was headed and this is where I am, and I made it. But in baby steps, we made it.
Mm-hmm. I love that you said where I'm needed, because I think that one of the secrets to success is what you're doing for others, not so much what you're receiving. So where I'm needed, where I'm finding the most joy in that giving. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Well, I needed a lot, so she was busy.
So she was taking care of you.
Yeah, I was her 7th child.
Is that-
And I recognize it and I admit to it because she's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Aww.
He just didn't fit in the tub.
So when did you, Dad, when did you say, this is my person and I see my whole life in front of me?
I don't know if, the only moment that I remember definitely, it was before we were married when I finally realized I fell in love. And I was at Notre Dame and we bumped into each other. Long story, but nevertheless, I was dreaming about being with her for months, but she was so busy dating all my classmates that one day we spoke and I realized how wonderful, I was first of all in love with her physically, but how smart she was. And so I'm walking home from St. Mary's where we were talking, and I'm getting on the road between St. Mary's and Notre Dame, and I swear to God, I levitated. I don't know if
An out-of-body experience?
I left the ground. I wasn't touching the ground, and I'm positive, because I was totally enamored, loved, and I don't know if I knew it would come to this, but all I wanted to be with was with her.
Wow. So then you ended up finding your way to each other and relocated. You started a career. You took care of all the kids and the house. You made sure that we were all provided for so that you wouldn't necessarily have to work, right? Because for most of that time you did not work.
Yeah. When you have 6 children in 9 years, you can't go to work. You work right there.
Yeah, right there.
Where you're living.
So where was the joy in all that chaos?
Oh my gosh. Joy was every day.
Everywhere.
The children were healthy.
She
I had
loved
my
me.
own preschool, so, you know, where I did. I put you on the other side of the Dutch door with graham crackers. And there they stayed. If there was a problem, I'd say, is there any blood?
Yeah.
Oh, no blood.
Are you
okay.
bleeding? You're okay.
And what did you always say to us? I say this to my own children. The greatest gift I ever gave you was, do you know the answer to that? The greatest gift I ever gave you
Each
was
other.
each other. And that, boy, you made sure that we liked each other because we were each other's entertainment. We weren't going to Chuck E. Cheese or the park. We were in the backyard with a whole lot of
I didn't
toys.
have a car for
Oh.
a long time. So of course you didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere either. But your father made things very comfortable. He gave you a sandbox. Let me see, we didn't
Jungle gym?
do anything for 10 years. We had no money. But what we had was space. And the jungle gym and the plastic pools that we filled, and you swam and had a good old time, and we had animals. So you were not wanting for anything, especially company, because you
At each other.
had each other, and everybody took care of it. Well, of course, then there was Chris.
He might be watching.
So
So be
that's
careful.
all right. There was a boy amongst 4 girls, and so of course he was your nemesis. But you all were good children.
So, think about the last 65 years of your life, or even before that, of challenges that you faced. And there have been many. The list goes on and on. But my students are always ask, how do I get past that and back to happiness again? Or how do I get to happiness for the first time when all I know is heartache? How do you see past it? I always say, are you prepared for it? Do you learn from it? Can you make your way through it? Can you overcome it? Can you survive
Yes.
and
We did that.
in spite of it? So tell me some of the tools for getting past the hardship and back to
Our
happiness.
companionship.
That
When we had these, and we were never spared a thing. If it happened to a family, it happened to us, other than death or serious illness. Daddy would say, you know, Barbara, we'll get through this. We will get through this. And, I have my doubts sometimes, but somehow faith in God, good, big, helping family, huge family.
The supportive community.
I
is
did
key.
not have a big family, but Daddy did, and so we had cousins, and it's community that you know what you have to do to get over it, and then you pray on it, and you go forward. As I said to Gerry, and still say it every day, if I had a child who was a shoot-em-upper at the schools, I'd probably go to my death with him or her, because I love them too much. And I've never had to have that. I've been
Thank God.
terribly blessed.
But when it
But-
does happen, you immediately think of the parent in that case.
yes.
Like, how do you survive that?
And how much I love that individual. And there's nothing you can do. But that's not happened to me. But we certainly did have our challenges, and we met them.
Head on.
And we met them together.
Would you say that there's a lot of grace and forgiveness as part of that recipe?
Oh,
we're loaded with grace.
yeah,
Yeah, we are.
loaded with forgiveness.
I think it's the key to success, to
But
be
look,
honest.
we look now. We look now at our children, and we see the love that you all have for one another. That comes from having had them close, and we aren't supporting anybody anymore, and everybody is established and has something what they want to do in life. For that, we are blessed. We don't have any
The fruits of your
regrets.
labor.
No regrets. We did without. We did without for a long time a car, but we couldn't afford country clubs or golf outings or trips down the street to the fancy restaurant, or we had our family restaurant and we would go there. We always went to Mass together. It was preferable as Mass was offered in the evening, we could go Saturday night and bribe you kids for
For
a
dinner.
and we'd go to church. But getting up in the morning on Sunday, everybody got up, got dressed. The minute the first baby cried, Gerry sent me to the crying room, and I left him with
That's
the
my
rest
job.
of you.
That's my job.
But yeah, looking back, it has been for us, it's been very successful. That's what we wanted in life.
And that was the goal. That was the intention.
Give our children a beautiful future.
Right.
And we did that.
And you did do that with great success. So my next question was going to be about faith, and you've already touched on that. How, and I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because it's a question I ask my students to ask their loved ones. How important is your faith to your journey? How has it impacted your happiness? Dad, you're up.
Without my faith and my religion, I wouldn't have made it. I loved going to church, and I saw immediate results. So it was an easy thing to continue on because I was getting results. And I went to Mass for 40 years.
Every day,
daily Mass.
I tell my students that all the time.
Yeah, it was the best thing, and it just set me up for the day. And
I never even thought of not marrying a Catholic. I was raised, from day one, and I went to Catholic school all my life. So it was comfortable for me, and it would not have been comfortable to have a mate that didn't have my faith. He could have another religion. I think religion's very important. It doesn't necessarily have to be my faith, my Catholic faith. But I do think that a spiritual life in today's world is a must.
And harder to find.
And
Partly because people find it at such young ages in your generation and in mine. I never had a chance to even consider falling in love with somebody who wasn't of the same faith as me, because I met Phil so young when we only knew Catholics. So the older we get, to try and stick with either your faith belief or at least something that's similar or something that's solid is not as easy. But I think it's important that you guys share how valuable it is.
But we had it. We had it. You go to Catholic colleges, you're going to meet and marry a Catholic. And for us, it's worked out. Now, some people, the marriage is not. I can only talk about us.
Yep.
And we stuck it out. I don't think we ever came close to any serious separation, thinking, anything like that.
But having God at the center
but
is
it
really the
doesn't-
glue that keeps it all
Not
together.
everybody is that fortunate.
I agree.
I mean, we look around now in our retirement community, and many marriages are second marriages. People are almost astonished that we've been married 65 years. You don't see too many of that.
Listen, I get that now, and I'm married half as long. And people,
Well,
you've been married that long?
we
There's
were-
not a lot of us.
We were blessed. Let's just put that. We
from
were
the
blessed.
beginning.
But you also nurtured that
We
blessing.
worked very hard.
Yeah, that cannot be
Very,
understated.
Very
It was
hard.
not luck. I do hear that a lot. Oh, you're just lucky. I'm like, no, you got to work really hard for that.
Yeah, that was our goal, though. It was always a goal. It
What
was
is your
never
what's your
gonna-
mantra?
Never going to change.
And your rings?
Oh, together to heaven.
Together to heaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you each this question. What would you tell your 18-year-old self right now, looking at the majority of your life through a rear view mirror? What would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self who's trying to find their way?
Do it the same way all over again. I was so blessed. The fact that I fell in love with her, she didn't even know me. She was more popular than anybody else at St. Mary's, and she picked me. I just don't know how I could have been any better than her. And so I just kept smiling and keep trucking along, and every day God was taken care of. I went to Mass every day, and every day it ended great. Very few heartaches I had at work, never with my wife.
But would you say a lot of that is your attitude? Like you've always been an optimist, that positive attitude can really carry you the distance.
That probably was it. I was the youngest of four, and for some reason or other, they made me feel like it was the best thing that ever happened, and I believed them.
And now you've made us believe that. So Mom, tell me about you. And then my next question was going to be about your own backgrounds, which were different.
Well, my 18-year-old self didn't know what was going to happen to me when I was 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So my mom experienced a horrible loss when she was 19. It's very emotional. So she lost her mother tragically, and she was 19. So your life at that point in time is very different from where Dad was. You probably, well, I'm sure you were grieving and you were still traumatized, right? So what would you tell now? What would you tell that young 19-year-old whose world had ended
well,
that day?
I was already very happy in college. Being a twin was difficult after I left being a twin. When my sister went elsewhere to school, when we were separated, I realized that I never had my own life. We were a bookends. We were referred to as the twinnies, and that they call us by Betty or by Barbara, or we answered to anything because we were used to it. But suddenly when I got to college, and I was on my own, living my own life and discovering things and seeing who I was. I didn't see who I was.
It opened a lot of doors.
I never had a picture taken as a single baby.
Right.
Never. So when my mother passed away and my sister joined me at college, where Daddy thought that would be the best thing, it was not. And
Well, will she agree? Because she may watch this.
Oh, she wanted to be an airline stewardess. She didn't want to go to college. But he decided it was really for his benefit that we be together. And I had my own life there, and she was in my territory. So I let her open up her own territory. And I stayed in another dorm where I was assigned before I went home for the summer. And she proceeded to flunk out because she didn't want to be there. And there were a lot of boys across the street that she hadn't had an access to prior to going to my college. So that was the end of that, and I finished up and got into theater. And
So, but when you look back at that young woman, would you agree with what Dad said, that this, good for you, you made all the right choices?
Oh yeah.
Or is there any kind of attitude adjustment you would offer? Or, I don't know, it seems like you both picked a good path at a young age.
you young girls get their hearts broken, and mine was destroyed at one time. But my mother got me through that, and I do remember almost seeing her, hearing her, telling me what I had to do. And she always said from a picture, "Oh, he looks like a nice young man." Because I had some other boyfriends she didn't think were such nice young men.
Well, she seemed to be drawn to guys who were just like a father. And her mother could see that coming, and she just didn't want her to have the same heartache that she had.
Was there a story that she said something or something happened either right before or after she died about you?
Just the fact.
Just before. I mean, shortly before, I had a boyfriend come stop at my house on his way home, where he had done an internship in the city, New York City. And she was not fond of him. He was, well, there were many things, but rude to my grandparents, my grandmother, and my great uncle, and she did not like that. So when she saw this picture of Daddy and I on our first date, very platonic because I was involved with somebody else.
It was platonic? I thought you were crazy about
It was
it.
platonic. And she said, "Well, now he looks like a lovely young man."
So you got her approval, her stamp of approval.
So later on,
But you never actually met her.
Oh no, he never did.
I speak to her every night.
Oh.
Every day.
When I had finished another year after her death, she came to me and she said, "He's the one," and I suddenly felt it. And that was part of that long distance where he graduated college and gone on to his graduate school. But anyway, it all worked out, and it was, well, I had a broken heart there for a while. I was going to quit school. My roommates tried to help me and kind of put me down and saying, "It's not worth it. He wasn't worth it," but I stuck around, and it worked out for us.
That's God at work.
Absolutely.
Divine providence.
Amen. So I want to end with just one word of wisdom that you can send out to our audience. I have one in mind for both of you, and I'm wondering if either of you will even think of what they are. But you have said something to me 1,000 times that has stuck with me, and you have said something to me that has stuck with me. But maybe I'll ask you to say what's on your mind. Anything you could think of that you would say to, let's say, any of your 20-something grandkids. Here's one great piece of advice. Always blank, never blank.
Well, fighting, of course. People, your friends probably thought we were so different because
We didn't fight.
and our home was open to any of the girls, and they liked that, and we were pleased with that. We both grew up in families where there was dysfunctional families, and it was frightening.
But you both defied that, which is another thing I talk to my students about all the time.
You know that old
defy
adage,
it if you didn't like it.
That old adage, don't go to bed mad. Well, I went to bed mad.
I did too.
I went to bed madder than a wet hen. But you know, it didn't.
I'm still working on that.
It didn't fester. And
Yes,
then
certainly didn't fester.
we would talk it out
Yeah.
with the door shut.
You got to
know.
communicate right without an audience. So true.
Oh, and I always, another thing, put a lock on your door, your bedroom door.
Absolutely.
Always
I
have a
agree.
lock.
I
It's
agree.
just sometimes when you don't want to, you want to have your way with the guy or the other. Well, I mean, you want to talk, you want to say,
I know what you
say
mean.
what you want to say, and you don't want kids ambling in and out as they might. So yeah,
Well, the greatest advice you ever gave me was don't ever try to change anybody.
oh, yeah.
You told me when I was in love with Phil and I gave you a whole laundry list of the things that made me crazy about his lifestyle because he was a golfer, and you said, if you're going to marry that guy,
You're going to get a golfer.
that's all coming with you. Yeah. And that was the best advice you could have ever given me. What about you, Dad?
I forgot.
You always said, don't wish time away. Don't wish life away.
Oh, did I really?
Slow down. Don't wish life away. And I say that all the time, especially to students sitting in a classroom in the fall and they see 9 months of school
Things
ahead of
change.
them. I say it's going to go by in a blink. Enjoy every minute. You're going to look back as these are some of the fondest memories
That's
that you
great
have.
advice. That is great advice. It just goes so fast, but to me it was fun all the time.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for being here. I could talk to you. Well, I will talk to you the whole rest of the day. But this is about as much as my team, my camera can handle. So thank you, Mom and Dad.
You did great, honey.
Oh, thank you. So did you. I love you both. Thank you for being
And
here.
we're so proud of you doing these shows.
Oh,
Wonderful.
thank you. Now I'm gonna
Just ask Mrs. Hurlbut.
Goodbye, everybody.